Well, we continue to talk about the Omicron variant's effect on schools. It's being felt everywhere in the community, including the workplace. Employment lawyer Alex Lucifero joins us now to talk more about this. So, Alex, first of all, tell us about how Omicron is affecting vaccine mandates too, and an employer's ability to fire employees who aren't getting vaccinated.
Sure. Afternoon, Matt. I mean, here's where we are with respect to these vaccination policies in the workplace. I mean, the starting point is if there's no government mandate in place with respect to your workplace, and particularly for non-unionized employees, if you are let go from your job as a result of these mandates, or if you're put on unpaid leave from your job as a result of a company mandate, you are likely going to be owed severance if you're let go. And I think what Omicron has done more specifically, I mean, now we know with the rise of that new variant that vaccination doesn't necessarily stop transmission. And I think that's a problem for a lot of these vaccination policies. I think it undermines what the initial point of these policies was, which was to create these kind of bubbles of vaccinated employees who weren't able to transmit or were effectively immune to the virus. And again, we're just not seeing that as the case. So I think the balance there is now tipping back in favor of employees. Again, if employees are let go or punished for not being vaccinated, I think there are going to be some consequences there for employers in the form of severance.
Okay, so we talk about too, and again, not certainly not and pushing people to not get vaccinated, because we want people to be able to do that, but it's tricky as we talk about all these situations. What about people who are falling ill from COVID-19 though, who are getting sick and need to take sick days, because you talk about that transmissibility of Omicron?
Yeah, of course. And to be clear, man, I think, it's obvious that vaccines reduce the risk of hospitalization. Right. I mean, it makes very, very good sense. The distinction we have to make is, well, it's not up to employers to enforce that, right? Mm-hmm. If the government is telling a particular industry or an employer that its employees have to be vaccinated, well, that's a different thing. But again, it's not up to the employer to force employees to be vaccinated. Now, with respect to an employee who actually catches COVID or is sick and unable to work, I mean, the answer to that question is very strongly no. An employer cannot punish an employee. They cannot discipline an employee. They cannot treat an employee differently in a negative way because they have contracted COVID, or even, Matt, if they are having to care for a family member who has contracted COVID. The provincial government has 3 paid sick days in place for situations like that. And even if you are ill beyond a 3-day period, again, an employer cannot punish an employee who has to take a medical leave of absence, who is sick and unable to attend to work, even if it's unrelated to COVID, Matt. That's still the case. So employees have strong protections there. If you are ill and unable to work, speak to your doctor, get a doctor's note. Your employer has to respect that.
Okay, again, as we talk about lots of different situations, and it still is changing even in the new year. Employment lawyer Alex Lucifero, we appreciate your time as always. Thank you for this, sir.
Thanks for having me, Matt.